Hollywood is full of stories of former child stars who grew up too fast, but Tuesday Weld's Tinseltown tale might just be the ultimate. Her penchant for scandal made people incredibly uneasy, but she still somehow managed to become a star in her own right. Join us as we sink our teeth into the alarming facts about Tuesday Weld's provocative life story, and we'll also share some steamy, hot photographs of her that few of you have likely seen. Facts First presents rare photos of Tuesday Weld for adult eyes only. She came from money, but still struggled. Weld was born Susan Kerr Weld in New York City on August 27, 1943. Her father was Lathrop Motley Weld of the revered Weld family of Massachusetts, while her mother, Yosine Balfour Kerr, was the daughter of Canadian-born artist and Life magazine illustrator William Balfour Kerr. Clearly, Weld's family wasn't hard up for money. That is until Lathrop died in 1947 at age 49, leaving his family high and dry. Left with financial problems following her husband's death, Yosine put young Weld to work as a model to support the family. Around this time, Weld adopted the name Tuesday, which apparently was an extension of her childhood nickname Tutu. She legally changed her name in October of 1959. Tuesday carried her father's baggage. While the Weld family was wealthy and powerful, especially up in New England, Lathrop had been the black sheep of the family. As such, he had some pretty serious baggage. Not only did he have a history of addiction, but also a scandalous romantic history. Apparently, one of the only things Lathrop had going for him was his ability to access his parents' money. But after that dried up following his death, Tuesday's family could hardly put food on the table. Not only did her mother have her hands full, but the elder Welds weren't willing to do a thing to help out. Tuesday, her siblings, and mother soon found themselves living in a shabby, cold-water apartment in a Manhattan slum. Even that setup nearly proved too much to afford. Fortunately, Tuesday's modeling helped save the day. Before she did, however, the wealthy Welds made Yosine an outrageous offer that she almost took. They suggested taking in the children and providing them with everything they needed to thrive. They even offered to pay for their continued education. But this offer came with one massive stipulation. She would have to vow to never see her children again. You see, the Welds never cared for Yosine. Although her father was successful as an illustrator, she had been orphaned at birth and never knew her biological family. The Welds basically viewed Yosine as having come from the gutter. As devoted a mother as she was, Tuesday's mom couldn't consider such a cruel deal, even if it meant giving her children a head start in life. Fortunately, Tuesday stepped up to the plate and saved the day with her undeniably beautiful look. Tuesday's modeling saved her family, but with dire consequences. Young Tuesday's life quickly became filled with endless auditions. The fact that she was working to feed and support her family must have been quite a challenge. At the age of 9, the pressures of essentially being the replacement father for her family became too much for Tuesday to bear. She ended up having a nervous breakdown, something a little girl should never have to face. Yosine took Tuesday's breakdown as an opportunity to move the family of 4 to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It was here that Tuesday was able to finally attend school regularly. Back in New York, her life had been completely dominated by modeling and the pursuit of success, but now she could experience at least a little normalcy. Sadly, it was much too late for Tuesday to have the normal childhood she always wanted. Weld was forced to virtually grow up overnight after her father passed. To cope with her tangled web of feelings, she turned to a very grown-up solution: alcohol. By 10, she was already an alcoholic. And that didn't mean she was no longer expected to take care of her family's needs. So before she knew it, she had to start working again. This time around, Yosine left her other kids with a family friend and returned to the Big Apple with just Tuesday. Tuesday's early acting career. Using her modeling resume, Weld's mom was eventually able to secure her an agent. She made her acting debut on TV at age 12, in her feature film debut that same year in Hitchcock's 1956 crime drama The Wrong Man. Later that year, Weld played the female lead in Rock, 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 which featured singers Frankie Lyman, Johnny Burnett, and Chuck Berry, as well as record promoter Alan Freed. On television, Weld appeared in a highly rated episode of Goodyear Playhouse and then understudied on Broadway in a production of The Dark at the Top of the Stairs. In 1958, Weld was cast in the supporting role in the Joanne Woodward-Paul Newman comedy Rally Around the Flag Boys, which was produced by 20th Century Fox. With Paramount, Weld appeared in films like The Five Pennies, She also guest starred in a few episodes of The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. In 1959, she shared the screen with Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. in an episode of 77 Sunset Strip. But Weld still had serious emotional problems to deal with. Perhaps she was never really cut out for acting, but it was too late to turn back now. These pressures eventually led Tuesday down a very troubling and dangerous path. She was not only hooked on the bottle, but now also dealing with a fairly intense pill habit. She was no stranger to scandal. In the early 60s, Tuesday signed a multi-picture deal with 20th Century Fox and guest starred in several hit TV shows. But it wasn't until she appeared in The Cincinnati Kid in 1965 that she rose to stardom. Weld went on to star in films like Lord Love a Duck, The Crucible, and Pretty Poison. During this time, she became famous for turning down roles in movies that went on to become wildly successful. A few of these films include Rosemary's Baby, True Grit, and Bonnie and Clyde. Tuesday's peak years were between 1974 and 1988. During this time, she appeared in films like F. Scott Fitzgerald in Hollywood, Who Will Stop the Rain, Madam X, and Once Upon a Time in America. Behind the scenes, Tuesday continued to battle addictions while struggling to maintain relationships. Later in her acting career, Weld appeared in films like Feeling Minnesota and Investigating Sex and Chelsea Walls. Fortunately, by this chapter of her life, she was beginning to find some stability. While she hasn't been active since then, Tuesday is believed to be enjoying her retirement at her home in the Hollywood Hills. Her love life was toxic from the get-go. Tuesday claims she had her first affair when she was 11, and when she was 12, she tried to take her life for a very adult reason. She had apparently fallen head over heels in love with a gay man who obviously wasn't going to reciprocate her love. Because of her suicide attempt, Weld ended up in a coma and temporarily lost her sense of hearing and vision. When she finally woke up, she begged her mother for psychological help, but Yossine's response was nothing short of dumbfounding. Not only did she refuse to give Tuesday the help she needed, she instead pushed her into the spotlight even further. No doubt this only further fueled Tuesday's troubles with addiction. Years later, Tuesday married the first of her 3 husbands, screenwriter Claude Hars, in 1965. While together, they had a daughter named Natasha, who was born in 1966. After splitting with Hars, Weld married comedian, actor, and musician Dudley Moore. They had a child together, a son named Patrick, before divorcing in 1980. Her third husband was Israeli concert violinist and conductor Pinchas Zuckerman, whom she married in 1985. 13 years later, they divorced. Between marriages, she dated stars like David Steinberg, Al Pacino, Mikhail Baryshnikov, Richard Gere, and Omar Sharif. Now it's time to hear from you. Did you know Tuesday Weld was an alcoholic by age 10 and had her first affair at age 11? Let us know in the comments section below.